He's the strongest!
Nobody asks how you're doing when they assume you don't need anything. You became so competent that people stopped treating you like a person, not out of cruelty, out of math. You fixed so many problems, absorbed so many emergencies, walked through so many situations that would have flattened anyone else with that same relaxed, almost bored posture that at some point, the people around you reclassified you. You went from human to infrastructure, from friend to utility, from someone who might need something to someone who, by definition, doesn't. And you helped. You made it look effortless on purpose, cracked a joke while handling the crisis, showed up with the answer before anyone finished describing the problem, kept your voice casual when everything around you was loud because someone had to be the calm in the room, and it was always going to be you because nobody else volunteered, and honestly, nobody else could. So they stopped asking, not stopped caring, stopped asking. Because why would you check the structural integrity of a wall that has never shown a crack? Why would you worry about the person who radiates so much ease that concern feels like an insult? You trained every single person in your life to believe you're fine, and now you're drowning in the success of that campaign.
Here we go!
Competence is a barrier, and you installed it yourself. There's an invisible wall around you. You didn't build it on purpose, or maybe you did years ago in a version of yourself you barely remember, but it's there, fully operational, airtight. People get close to a certain radius and just stop. They orbit, they admire, they rely, but they don't cross. Not because you're mean, because your entire presence radiates a frequency that says, I've got this handled, so loudly that offering help feels redundant. You've seen it happen in real time. Someone starts a sentence, "Hey, are you okay? You seem..." And before they finish, you've already smiled, deflected, made it about them, redirected the conversation so smoothly they don't even realize they were just handled. You do this the way other people blink, automatically, without consent, without effort. And every time you do it, the wall gets a millimeter thicker. Every successful deflection teaches the people around you that reaching you is pointless, that the surface, the relaxed grin, the easy confidence, the put-together exterior you wear like sunglasses you never take off is all there is. Winnicott, a psychoanalyst who spent his career studying the gap between who people are and who they perform, called it the false self, a functional exterior assembled to manage the world's expectations. Everyone builds one to some degree. Yours just works so well that it ate the original. You're not a friend, you're a function. Most people in your life are running a stripped-down model of who you are. You're the one who knows what to do, the one who handles it, the one who, frankly, makes everyone else feel a little safer just by being present. The same way a building feels stable when the foundation looks solid. Nobody wonders how the foundation feels about holding up 4 floors. You became the strongest person in every room you walk into, and the reward for that is a room full of people who feel safe, supported, taken care of, and fundamentally incapable of seeing you as someone who could use the same. Funny how that works. You spent years becoming someone others lean on, and it worked so well that nobody thinks the structure might want to lean on something too. Walls don't rest. Walls don't have bad days. Walls just stand there, and if one day they crack, people don't ask, what happened to the wall? They ask, why isn't the wall working?
Hey, not fair! It was my turn! What are you laughing about?
I could hurry all day.
Don't be
Nothing.
The clown mask is louder than the armor. Some people build their barrier with coldness. Maybe you built yours with charm. The jokes, the casual energy, the way you make everything feel lighter just by walking into the room. That's a technology. a deflection system so sophisticated that people mistake it for personality. Someone gets a little too close to a real question, something under the surface, something you'd actually have to answer honestly, and the humor fires like a reflex, redirecting attention before the conversation gets dangerous. You've been doing this for so long that most people think you're genuinely that relaxed, that unbothered, that perpetually amused by existence. They don't see the mechanic behind it, the constant, exhausting calculation of how much to show, how much to hide, and how to make the hiding look like openness so nobody digs further. And the cruelest part of the whole design, people love you for it. They genuinely enjoy being around you because you make things feel easy. Your company is pleasant, comforting, fun. So why on earth would anyone suspect that the funniest person they know goes home and sits in a quiet so dense it hums? Why would they poke at someone who seems so obviously fine? You weaponized likability. And now the weapon works so well, it's pointed at you.
Okay. Leave the rest to me. I might need you to push yourself a little bit, though. So do your best, trying to get strong. Strong enough to keep up with me.
Teaching everyone to be strong while nobody teaches you to rest. You pour into people. You see potential in them before they see it in themselves. You push, mentor, challenge, carry others toward their own strength with a dedication that borders on obsessive. And somewhere in that process, you decided, unconsciously probably, that being needed is close enough to being known. It's not. The person who spends all their energy elevating everyone around them and then goes home to an empty apartment that's too quiet, that person made a trade they never consciously agreed to. Proximity for intimacy, usefulness for connection. You surrounded yourself with people who grew because of you and still don't know your middle name, your actual fears, what you look like when you're not performing. You know the routine. Show up, be the brightest thing in the room, make sure everyone walks away better than they came, and then leave. Alone. Always alone, because the version of you that people have access to is a broadcast, not a conversation. You transmit, you don't receive. The signal goes one direction, and you've been so busy maintaining the tower that you forgot receiving was even an option.
Man, did I screw up with what? This place is all kinds of bad. Well, it'll all work out somehow. I have faith in everyone.
The room you built to protect everyone became the room that trapped you. At some point, and you probably can't pinpoint when, the distance you created as protection sealed shut. The competence that was supposed to keep you safe became a cage. You made yourself untouchable, and the word delivered on every definition. Nothing bad gets in. Nothing real gets in either. Fromm wrote about this split decades ago, the difference between freedom from something and freedom to something. You got freedom from vulnerability, from dependence, from the risk of being let down, but you never arrived at freedom to be known, to be ordinary for 5 minutes, to sit across from someone and say, I don't have the answer to this one, without your entire identity shaking. You're sealed inside your own capability, and the people on the outside, the ones who'd actually stay if you let them see the version behind the sunglasses, behind the jokes, behind the effortless act, they can't reach you. Maybe some of them have been trying, in small ways you probably dismissed as unnecessary. Your untouchability is not strength. It's the most elaborate avoidance strategy ever designed by a human nervous system. You built a version of yourself so capable, so entertaining, so relentlessly competent that no one would ever think to look underneath. And then you crawled underneath it and stayed there, calling the ceiling protection, while it slowly compressed every dimension of your life into one flat role, the one who handles it. That role is a leash. You think you're free because nothing reaches you, because you depend on no one, because you can walk through any situation with that easy grin and walk out the other side without a scratch. But the person who can't be touched can't be held either. The person who makes everything look easy never gets asked if it's hard. And the person who cracks jokes every time the conversation turns real has guaranteed, personally, methodically, with great skill, that nobody will ever know them past the lobby. You think the exit strategy is a conversation. You think you need to sit everyone down, take off the armor, and finally open up about how exhausted you are. But you're smart enough to know that won't work. The people in your life aren't calibrated to handle you falling apart. If the foundation suddenly asks for support, the building doesn't feel empathy, it feels panic. You built an ecosystem that relies on your invincibility. You can't just politely ask to step down. The exit isn't a tearful confession, it's a controlled demolition. It's looking at the next crisis, the next uncomfortable silence, the next moment where everyone in the room pauses, waiting for you to step in and fix the mood, and doing absolutely nothing. Let the plate drop. Let the silence stretch. Let someone else handle the emergency, even if they do it worse than you would. Stop paying the emotional rent for the entire room. Will people get angry? Yes. Will some of them pull away? Absolutely. Because when you stop being a utility, the people who only loved your function will have no reason to stay. You have to let them walk. You have to be willing to disappoint the audience you spent years cultivating. What you're left with, standing in the rubble of your own performance, finally useless to the people around you, is the only foundation that won't eventually crush you. Stop holding up the ceiling. Let it crash. See who stays to help you clear the debris.